The ship came out of nowhere. Captain Lee Minho saw it first on his scanner. A small vessel, not human, drifting too close to New Busan. The colony world had been quiet for 30 years. No aliens ever came this far into human space. Until now. He watched the alien ship scan the planet below. It moved slowly, recording everything. The cities, the farms, the 8 million people living their simple lives. Minho knew what this meant. After 80 years of hiding, humanity had been found. Send the report to Earth, he told his crew. Maximum encryption. They need to know. 3 weeks later, the report reached Admiral Park Do-yoon. The admiral was an old man now. 58 years of service had turned his hair white and put deep lines on his face. He had fought in the Mars Rebellion. He had built the secret defense network that protected Earth's 12 colonies. He had spent his whole life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. Now it was here. He sat in his office on Earth, reading the report for the 3rd time. The alien ship had returned to something called the Valari Conclave, a coalition of 47 species that controlled most of the known galaxy. And they had just learned that humans existed. Dr. Kim Yuna walked into his office without knocking. She was the best xenolinguist on Earth. For 20 years, she had listened to alien communications, learning their languages, understanding their cultures. Her face was pale. "They're talking about us," she said. "All of them. Every species in the conclave. What are they saying?" Yuna placed a tablet on his desk. "They're afraid." They looked at Earth's location and ran the data. High gravity, extreme temperature changes, dangerous radiation levels, predators everywhere, diseases that would kill most species in hours. "They think Earth is a death world," Do-yoon said. "They know it is, and they're terrified of what could survive there." "Admiral, they're voting right now. All 47 species. They want to destroy us before we become a threat." Do-yoon closed his eyes. Humanity had watched the galaxy for 80 years. They had seen how the conclave treated new species. Those who were weak got conquered. Those who were strong got destroyed. Humans had chosen to hide, to build in secret, to prepare for the day when they would have no choice but to fight. That day had come. How long until they attack? He asked. "The vote passed 2 hours ago? They're already assembling their fleet." Yuna's voice shook. "They didn't even try to contact us first. They just decided we had to die." Do-yoon stood up and walked to his window. Outside, the sun was setting over the Pacific Ocean. Children were playing on the beaches below. Families were eating dinner together. None of them knew what was coming. "Call the Defense Council," he said, "and prepare a transmission. I want every species in the galaxy to hear what I have to say." The council met within the hour. 12 men and women representing Earth and all its colonies. They listened as Yuna played the alien communications. They heard the fear in the aliens' voices. They heard the vote to exterminate humanity. They heard the conclave planning to kill every man, woman, and child without ever saying hello. When the recording ended, the room was silent. "They gave us no chance," said one counselor. "No negotiation. No warning. They just decided to murder us all, 'cause they're afraid," Yuna said. "To them, we're monsters. Creatures from a nightmare planet that shouldn't exist." Admiral Do-yoon stood at the head of the table. "They've made their choice. Now they'll learn ours." He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a single transmission ready to broadcast across the entire galaxy. Every alien species would hear it. Every world would receive it. This would be humanity's first and last message to the stars. "Are you sure about this?" someone asked. "Once we send this, there's no going back." "They already decided there's no going back," Do-yoon replied. "They declared war on us without knowing anything about us, without knowing what we've survived, without knowing how we fight." He looked around the room. "It's time they learned." Press the button across the galaxy. Screens lit up on 1,000 worlds. Billions of aliens stopped what they were doing and listened. They heard a human voice for the first time. It was calm, it was cold, and it was terrifying. "To the species of the Valari Conclave, We are humanity. For 80 years we watched you. We learned your languages. We studied your wars. We saw how you treat those who are different. And we chose to stay hidden because we wanted peace. Only peace. The transmission paused. Alien leaders leaned closer to their screens. You found us. And without a single word, without a single question, you decided we must die. You looked at our home and called it a death world. You were right. Earth is a death world. Everything there tries to kill everything else. And we are what survived. We are the thing that killed everything that tried to kill us. On the Valari homeworld, High Speaker Horus watched with wide eyes. He was ancient and powerful, leader of the greatest coalition in galactic history. But something in that human voice made his feathers stand up. You have chosen war. So be it. But understand this. We do not fight like you. We do not surrender like you. We do not die like you. For 10,000 years, we fought each other. We perfected the art of destruction against the most dangerous enemy we ever faced. Ourselves. You have never seen what we can do when we are united against something else. The transmission continued. Every word was measured. Every sentence was a warning. We are giving you 40 cycles. 40 cycles to change your minds. 40 cycles to choose peace instead of war. After that, we come, not to defend, not to survive. We come to end this. And when we do, the galaxy will remember. They will remember that you had a choice. They will remember that we gave you time. And they will remember what happened when you chose battle. The transmission ended with coordinates. The location of Earth. Humanity was telling the galaxy exactly where to find them. High Speaker Horus turned to his advisors. They're insane. They just invited us to attack them. But one officer, a Keth named Bale, was not so sure. He had studied the transmission carefully. He had seen something the others missed. The humans were not afraid. They should have been afraid. They were one species against 47. They had 12 worlds against thousands. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and completely alone. But they were not afraid. And that, Bale thought, was the most terrifying thing of all. The 40 cycles passed slowly. High Speaker Horus used every moment to build the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships came from all corners of the conclave. 12,000 warships. 30 different species. Weapons that could crack planets in half. He would crush these humans with overwhelming force and show the galaxy what happened to those who dared threaten the conclave. On the 35th day, he gave a speech that every citizen of the conclave heard. The humans are mammals, he said, his feathers bright with confidence. They are soft creatures who sleep for a third of their lives. They feel emotions that cloud their judgment. They are fragile, chaotic, and weak. One volley from our fleet will break them. They will beg for mercy, and we will give them none. The crowd cheered. The fleet commanders raised their weapons in salute. Victory was certain, but not everyone was so confident. Sub-Commander Bale sat alone in his quarters on the battleship. Endless Flame, he was Keth, a reptilian species known for their cold logic and patient hunting. While others celebrated, he studied. For 30 days, he had done nothing but research humanity. He had collected their open broadcasts, their entertainment, their history. What he found kept him awake at night. The humans had been fighting wars for 10,000 years. Not against aliens. Against each other. They had created weapons that could destroy entire cities. They had killed millions of their own kind in conflicts that lasted for years. They had invented new ways to cause death with terrifying creativity, and they had survived all of it. Bale looked at images from something called World War II. Cities burned to ash. Millions dead. And yet, within 50 years, those same nations were thriving again. The humans had not just survived, they had rebuilt. They had grown stronger. He requested a meeting with High Speaker Horus. The High Speaker received him in his private chambers, surrounded by advisors and guards. Bale bowed low, as was custom, and then spoke. High Speaker, I have concerns about the human campaign. Oris waved a wing dismissively. What concerns could you possibly have? We outnumber them 1,000 to 1. That is true, Bale said. But I have studied their history. They have never fought an external enemy with their full strength. Every war they have ever fought was against themselves. They have always held back. Held back. Oris laughed. You suggest they are stronger than what they have shown? I suggest we do not know what they are capable of. Bale placed his data pad on the table. Look at this. They call it total war. When their survival is threatened, they do not fight with honor or rules. They destroy everything. Factories, farms, cities. They target civilians. They use weapons that cause suffering long after the battle ends. They fight until there is nothing left to fight with. Oris glanced at the datapad but did not pick it up. These are primitive tactics. We have shields that can stop their weapons. We have ships that can outrun anything they build. With respect, High Speaker, we do not know what they have built. I've been watching us for 80 years. 80 years of learning our weaknesses. 80 years of preparing. Elle leaned forward. They gave us 40 cycles. Not because they need time, because they want us to come. They are inviting us into a trap. The room went quiet. The advisors looked at each other nervously. Then Oris laughed again. You give these creatures too much credit. They are barely spacefaring. They have 12 worlds. We have thousands. This war will be over in days. Bale wanted to argue more, but he saw it was useless. The High Speaker had already decided the fleet would attack, and nothing would change his mind. Far away, on the edge of human space, Sergeant Choi Hannah was finishing her mission. She was Special Forces trained for operations that officially did not exist. For the past 20 cycles, she and her team had been moving through conclave space in a ship so small and quiet that no scanner could find them. They had planted devices on asteroids, on moons, on the dark sides of planets, quantum beacons that would guide human weapons to their targets when the time came. Last one, said her second-in-command. A young man named Kong Juno. Hannah watched him plant the beacon on a frozen rock, floating near the Valari homeworld. If the Conclave had any idea how close they were, the entire fleet would be hunting them. But the aliens never looked this carefully. They thought their space was safe. Done, Juno said, climbing back into the ship. Hannah nodded. Get us out of here. The fleet will be moving soon. As their ship slipped away into the darkness, she thought about what was coming. 12,000 alien warships against humanity. The largest fleet ever assembled against a single enemy. The aliens thought they were coming to destroy a weak species. They had no idea what was waiting for them. On Earth, Admiral Park Do-yeon gave his final orders before the war began. Evacuate the colonies, he said. Every civilian, every child. Bring them to the safe zones. His officers looked confused. Sir, if we abandon the colonies, the Conclave will think we're running away. They'll think we're weak. Let them think that, Do-yeon replied. I don't care what they think. I care about keeping our people alive. It took 15 cycles, but every colony was emptied. 8 million people from New Busan, 12 million from Kepler Station. Families packed what they could carry and moved to hidden bases deep in asteroid fields, and on moons that no one would think to search. The aliens watched through their long-range sensors. They saw the evacuations. They saw humanity abandoning world after world without a fight. High Speaker Oris received the reports with satisfaction. You see, they run. They are cowards, just as I predicted. When we arrive, we will find empty planets and broken defenses. This war is already won. But Bale watched the same reports with growing dread. No species had ever willingly given up territory before a battle. The humans were not running because they were afraid. They were clearing the battlefield, removing the civilians, making sure that when the real fighting started, nothing would hold them back. The 40 cycles ended on a quiet morning on the Valari. Homeworld, the fleet jumped toward human space. 12,000 ships vanishing into the light of faster-than-light travel. They would arrive at the first human colony in hours. Oris watched them go with pride. This would be his greatest victory. The humans would be destroyed, and the galaxy would be safe. On Earth, Admiral Doyon received word that the fleet had launched. He sat in his command chair on the mobile battleship unyielding and looked at the stars on his screen. "They're coming," Yuna said beside him. "Yes. Are we ready?" Doyon thought about all the years of preparation, the hidden weapons, the secret fleets, the traps that waited in the darkness between stars. "We've always been ready," he said. "Now they'll find out why." The Conclave fleet arrived at New Busan, expecting to find a broken colony waiting to be conquered. They found nothing. Empty cities. Silent streets. Not a single human in sight. And then, on every screen, on every ship, a message appeared. Simple words in the language of every species. "You came to our home. Now we come to yours." Before anyone could react, the stars themselves seemed to open. Hidden fortresses buried in asteroids powered up. Ships that had been invisible moments before appeared all around the fleet. Weapons that the galaxy had never seen locked onto their targets and bail. Watching from the bridge of the endless flame, finally understood. The humans had been preparing for this day for 80 years, and the Conclave had walked right into their trap. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, 2,000 Conclave ships were burning wreckage. The humans had lost 12. High Speaker Horus received the report in his throne room. His feathers went pale. His advisors said nothing. The silence stretched on and on, broken only by the sound of distant alarms. "How?" he finally asked. "How is this possible?" No one had an answer. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread faster than light. Species that had celebrated the coming destruction of humanity now watched in horror. The humans had not just defended themselves. They had slaughtered the largest fleet ever assembled, and they had made it look easy. Admiral Park Doyon stood on the bridge of the Unyielding, watching the last enemy ships retreat. His face showed no joy, only tired determination. "Damage report," he said. 12 ships lost. 400 dead, his officer replied. The enemy lost over 2,000 vessels. Estimated enemy casualties are 300,000. 300,000 dead in 4 hours. Doyon closed his eyes for a moment. He had not wanted this. None of them had wanted this. But the aliens had made their choice, and humanity had answered. "Send the recording to every Conclave world," he ordered. "Let them see what happened here. Let them understand." The recording showed everything. Human ships appearing from nowhere, their stealth technology far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Weapons that cut through alien shields like they were not there. Coordinated attacks that left no escape. But the most disturbing part was not the weapons. It was the tactics. The humans had hacked into Conclave communications. They had broadcast false orders, causing ships to fire on each other. They had sent recordings of dying crews to nearby vessels, breaking morale. They had targeted command ships first, leaving the rest of the fleet blind and confused. This was not warfare. This was psychological destruction. On the Keth homeworld, Sub-Commander Bale watched the recording in his quarters. His scales had gone cold. He had tried to warn them. No one had listened. Now he understood why the humans had given them 40 cycles. It was not mercy. It was a test. The humans had wanted to see if the Conclave would take the chance to choose peace. They had chosen war instead. And now they would pay the price. Lieutenant Yun Murray led the fighter squadron called the Ghosts. They flew small, fast ships that could turn faster than any alien vessel. Their job was simple: get inside the enemy fleet and cause chaos. She was 28 years old. Before the war, she had been a cargo pilot on Mars. Now she was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of aliens. "Target the carrier on the left," she told her squadron. Standard formation. They dove into the battle like knives through water. Alien guns tried to track them, but they were too fast. Human bodies could survive forces that would kill any other species. They could turn at angles that should have broken their bones. They could stay conscious under pressure that would put aliens to sleep. Murray fired her missiles. Into the carrier's engine bay. The ship exploded in a ball of white fire. She was already turning toward the next target before the debris cleared. Ghost Leader Hercum crackled. "We have 3 more carriers coming in from the north. Then we take 3 more carriers," she replied. By the end of the battle, her squadron had destroyed 11 ships. They lost to pilots. Marae added their names to the memorial list in her cockpit. 67 names now? 67 friends who would not come home. War was not glorious. War was not exciting. War was names on a list that grew longer every day. But the aliens had started this, and humanity would finish it. On Earth. Dr. Beek Wujin prepared the next phase of the war. He was a soft-spoken man who wore glasses and smiled too much. Before the war, he had studied alien biology. He had learned how each species worked, what made them strong, what made them weak. Now he used that knowledge to create weapons. "The nightmare protocols are ready," he told Admiral Doyen over a video link. "We have specific countermeasures for every species in the conclave." Doyen looked at the list on his screen. Sonic weapons for the Valari, tuned to shatter their hollow bones. Cold bombs for the Keth, dropping temperatures so fast their cold-blooded bodies would freeze. Psionic disruptors for the telepathic Orin, causing pain that could not be blocked. "You turned their biology into a weapon against them," Doyen said. Wujin's smile faded. "They gave us 80 years to study them. We used that time well." He paused. "I wish I could say I'm proud of this work, but these weapons will cause tremendous suffering." "I know. Is there no other way?" Doyen was quiet for a long moment. "They want to kill every human alive. Our children, our families, everyone. If we do not win this war completely, they will come back. They will try again. And next time, we might not be ready." Wujin nodded slowly. "Then I will do what must be done." The nightmare protocols were deployed in the 2nd month of the war. The Valari fleet encountered human ships near the colony of New Sol. Y expected another conventional battle. Instead, the humans activated their sonic weapons. Waves of sound rolled through space, penetrating shields and hulls like they were not there. On the Valari ships, crew members felt their bones cracking from the inside. They screamed, but the sound kept coming. Within minutes, every Valari in the fleet was dead or dying. The other species watched in horror. What kind of monsters had they awakened? High Speaker Horus received the news in his throne room. For the first time in his long life, he felt true fear. The humans were not just winning. They were destroying his people in ways he had never imagined. "We must negotiate," one of his advisors said. "Perhaps they will accept our surrender." "No," Horus said. "If we surrender, we show the galaxy that we are weak. Other species will rebel. The conclave will fall apart." "The conclave is already falling apart," another advisor said. 3 species have already withdrawn from the war. 5 more are considering it. Horus slammed his wing against the wall. "Then we fight harder. We have more ships. More soldiers. We will overwhelm them with numbers." But the numbers no longer mattered. The humans did not fight in neat lines like the conclave. They appeared from shadows and disappeared before anyone could respond. They struck supply lines, leaving fleets without food or fuel. They captured communication stations and broadcast propaganda that turned species against each other, and everywhere they went, they left a message. You had a choice. Sub-Commander Bale led what remained of his fleet toward the human border. They had been ordered to attack a human station. A suicide mission, most likely. But orders were orders. His ships came out of faster-than-light travel and found the station waiting for them. It was larger than he expected, heavily armed, and surrounded by debris that had once been conclave ships. A human face appeared on his screen. An old man with white hair and tired eyes. "I am Admiral Park Doyen," the human said. "You are Sub-Commander Bale of the Keth Fleet. I have read your reports. You tried to warn them about us. They did not listen." Bale was stunned. How did the humans know so much about him? "I am giving you a choice," Doyen continued. "You can attack this station. You will lose. All your ships will be destroyed, and all your crew will die. Or you can turn around. Go home. Tell your people that this war is over. I have orders, Bale said. Your orders came from beings who thought we were weak. They were wrong. The admiral leaned forward. You knew the truth. You warned them? They did not listen. Do not die for their mistakes. Bale looked at his crew. Young soldiers who had families waiting for them. Children who would never see their parents again. He gave the order to attack. He thought about everything he had learned about humans. Their terrible history, their endless wars, their capacity for destruction. And he thought about something else he had found in his research. A human word that had no translation in any alien language. Mercy. We will withdraw, Bale said. The admiral nodded. A wise choice? Go home, sub-commander. Tell your people what you have seen. Tell them we do not want this war. But we will finish it if we must. Bale turned his fleet around. Behind him, the human station grew smaller in the distance. And for the first time since the war began, he felt something like hope. Maybe, just maybe, this could still end without the death of everyone. 6 months into the war, humanity stopped defending. They started attacking, not to conquer, not to take alien worlds. They attacked military bases, weapon factories, command centers. They destroyed the ability to make war, then moved on. They took nothing. They wanted nothing. They just wanted to be left alone. Admiral Park Do-yan gave his orders from the bridge of the Unyielding. His hair had grown whiter in the past months. His eyes looked tired, but his voice was still steady. Target their production facilities. Leave civilian areas alone. No unnecessary deaths. His officers followed his orders exactly. Human ships appeared over alien worlds, destroyed military targets, and vanished before any defense could respond. The Conclave had never faced anything like it. On the ground, the war was even more terrifying. Private Shin-Yun-ji was 22 years old. Before the war, she had been studying to be a teacher. Now she carried a rifle and fought on alien worlds she had never heard of. Her squad was sent to capture a Valari communications base on a planet called Threnel 4. The mission was supposed to be quick. Get in, take the base, get out. But the Valari had reinforced the position. What should have been a 1-hour operation turned into a 3-day battle. Youngji had been shot twice, once in the shoulder, once in the leg. The pain was terrible, but she kept fighting. Human bodies were stronger than anyone realized. They could take damage that would kill other species. They could keep moving when they should have fallen. On the 3rd day, she led the final assault on the base. The Valari defenders watched her come. They had seen humans fight before, but seeing it up close was different. This small female creature had been wounded multiple times. She should have been dead or at least unable to walk. Instead, she ran toward them with a weapon in her hands and fire in her eyes. What are they? One Valari whispered. They were survivors. That was what they were. Millions of years of evolution on a planet that tried to kill them every day had created beings that simply did not stop. Pain could not break them. Fear could not freeze them. They fought until they won, or until their hearts stopped beating. The base fell in 15 minutes. Yoonji sat against a wall afterward, letting the medic treat her wounds. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from exhaustion. 3 days without sleep, 3 days of fighting. Her body was screaming at her to rest, but they had won. That was what mattered across the galaxy. The Conclave was collapsing. 17 species had already surrendered to humanity. They had sent ambassadors to human space, begging for peace. Ambassador Jung Tai-ho, a calm man with a gentle voice, received them all. We accept your surrender, he told each delegation. Go home. Rebuild your worlds. Never threaten humanity again, and we will never threaten you. The aliens were confused. They had expected humans to demand territory, resources, slaves. That was what conquerors did. That was what the Conclave had always done, but the humans wanted nothing except peace. You could rule the galaxy, one ambassador said. You have the power. Why do you not take what you have earned? Taiho smiled sadly. We have seen what ruling others does to a species. We have read your history. We know how the conclave was built. Conquest after conquest. War after war. That is not what we want. Then what do you want? To live? To raise our children? To explore the stars without fear? He spread his hands. Is that so strange? The ambassador had no answer. No species in the galaxy had ever fought a war just to be left alone. High Speaker Oris watched his empire crumble. In 6 months, he had lost half his fleet. 17 species had abandoned the conclave. The rest were fighting among themselves, blaming each other for the disaster. Everything he had built over centuries was falling apart, and the humans were coming closer every day. His advisors brought him reports that grew worse with each passing week. Human ships had been seen near the Valari border. Human soldiers had liberated a slave colony on the edge of Valari space. Human scouts had mapped every defense position around the homeworld. They were preparing for the final attack. We must negotiate, his advisors said again. The war is lost. We must save what we can. But Oris was not ready to admit defeat. He had one more option. A weapon so terrible that the conclave had forbidden its use for 10,000 years. The planet killer. It was hidden in a secret base on the far side of the galaxy. A ship the size of a small moon carrying a weapon that could crack a planet in half. It had been built during the conclave's ancient wars, before the current peace was established. No one had ever dared to use it until now. Deploy the planet killer, Oris ordered. Target Earth. His advisors went silent. Even they were shocked. High Speaker, if we destroy their homeworld, they will never stop hunting us. They will chase us across the galaxy. They will destroy everything. They are already destroying everything, Oris replied. If we cannot have peace, neither will they. If the Valari must fall, we will take the humans with us.
Now the order was set.
The planet killer began its long journey toward Earth. Admiral Doyan received the intelligence report. 3 days later, he read it twice, then set it down carefully on his desk. Dr. Kim Yuna watched his face, looking for some reaction. She saw nothing, only the same tired calm he had shown since the war began. A planet killer, he said finally. They're going to destroy Earth. Our scouts are tracking it, Yuna said. It will arrive in 40 cycles. The same amount of time humanity had given the conclave before the war. Perhaps Oris thought that was funny. Some kind of poetic justice. Duhayan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, a weapon was moving toward his home, toward everyone he had ever loved. Then we end this, he said. He turned to face her. We've been fighting with one hand behind our back. We've been trying to minimize casualties. We've been giving them chances to surrender. He shook his head slowly. No more chances. He activated the communication system. His face appeared on every human ship, every station, every base across their territory. This is Admiral Park Doyan. The Conclave has deployed a planet killer against Earth. They want to murder our homeworld and everyone on it. 8 billion people. Our families. Our children. Our future. He paused, letting the words sink in. I have tried to fight this war with mercy. I have tried to give them opportunities to stop. They have refused every chance. Now they want to destroy everything we are. His voice grew harder. So be it. I am authorizing the release of our full fleet. Every ship we have, every weapon we've built, we will stop that planet killer, and then we will end this war once and for all. Across human space, hidden doors opened. Ships that had been waiting in the darkness emerged into the light. Thousands of them. Dreadnoughts the size of cities. Carriers filled with fighters. Weapons platforms that could crack moons. For 80 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. They had known that someday they would face the entire galaxy. They had built their strength in secret, waiting for the moment when they would need it. That moment had come. On the Valari homeworld, High Speaker Oris watched the human fleet emerge. His screen showed thousands of new contacts, each one larger and more powerful than anything the Conclave had ever built. "Impossible," he whispered. Where did they hide all of this? But it was not impossible. It was simply human. A species that had spent 10,000 years fighting itself had learned that preparation was everything. They had built weapons for every possible threat. They had planned for every scenario, and now Horus understood the truth. The humans had not been fighting with their full strength. Not even close. They had been holding back, giving the Conclave chance after chance to choose peace. The Conclave had chosen war instead, and now they would face the consequences. The planet killer died, and human ships surrounded it like wolves around a wounded animal. They struck from every direction at once, overwhelming its shields, cutting through its armor. The weapon that was supposed to destroy Earth exploded in the darkness between stars, its remains scattering like dust in the void. Admiral Park Do-Yan watched from the bridge of the unyielding. He felt no joy, only relief. Earth was safe. His grandchildren would live to see another sunrise. But the war was not over yet. The human fleet continued toward the Valari homeworld. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation, the largest force ever assembled in galactic history. Every species in the Conclave watched them come, and they knew there was nothing they could do to stop them. High Speaker Horus stood in his throne room as the human fleet appeared in orbit above his world. 12,000 ships blocking out the stars, weapons charged, ready to reduce his planet to ash. He had never known fear like this. Real fear. The kind that made his feathers fall limp and his voice shake. "High Speaker," an advisor said quietly. "They are requesting communication," Horus nodded. He had no choice but to answer. Admiral Do-Yan's face appeared on the screen. The old human looked even more tired than before, but his eyes were clear and hard. "High Speaker Horus, your planet killer is destroyed. Your fleet is scattered. Your allies have abandoned you. This war is over." Horus spread his wings in a gesture of submission. "Then take your revenge. Destroy us. Finish what we started." Do-Yan was silent for a long moment. Then he did something Horus did not expect. He shook his head. "We're not going to destroy your world." Horus blinked. "What? We could. We have the power. Your planet would be nothing but rubble in an hour." Do-Yan leaned forward. "But that is not who we are. We did not fight this war for revenge. We did not kill your people because we enjoyed it. We fought because you gave us no choice. You are giving us mercy," Horus said slowly. "After everything we did to you, I am giving you a chance." Do-Yan's voice softened slightly. "The same chance we gave you at the beginning. War or peace. You chose war. Now choose again." Horus looked around his throne room. His advisors, his guards, the people who had followed him into this disaster, they were all watching him, waiting to see what he would do. He thought about everything that had happened. The human transmission, the fleet he had assembled, the species he had united against a common enemy. All of it had failed. All of it had been based on fear and pride, and now he stood before the enemy he had tried to destroy. And they were offering him mercy. "I choose peace," he said. The Valari Conclave surrendered on the 47th day of the 7th month. There were no parades, no celebrations. Only tired soldiers going home and diplomats beginning the long work of building a new future. Ambassador Jung Tae-ho spent months negotiating the terms. The Conclave was dissolved. A new alliance was formed called the Terran Accord. Humanity would not rule the galaxy, but they would protect it. Any species that wanted peace could join. Any species that wanted war would face the consequences. Most species chose peace. Subcommander Bale became the first alien. Ambassador to Earth. He had advocated for peace from the beginning. He had tried to warn his people. Now he would help build something better. He arrived on Earth on a spring morning. The sky was blue. Birds were singing. Children were playing in a park near the landing zone. Bale walked through the streets of a human city. He saw families eating together. He saw artists painting pictures. He saw musicians playing songs. He saw laughter and tears and everything in between. These were the monsters he had been told about. These were the death world creatures that the galaxy had feared, and they were just ... people. People who wanted to live and love and be happy. He stopped at a cafe where a human woman was serving drinks. She smiled at him without fear. "First time on Earth?" she asked. "Yes." "Welcome. What can I get you?" Bale looked at the menu. He did not understand any of it. "What do you recommend?" "Everyone loves coffee." He tried the coffee. It was strange and bitter and wonderful. He drank 3 cups. Dr. Kim Yuna spent a year writing what she called the record, a complete history of the war, from the first contact to the final surrender. She sent it to every species in the galaxy. The record did not hide anything. It showed the battles, the weapons, the deaths on both sides. It showed the humans at their worst and their best. It showed that they could have destroyed the Conclave completely, but chose not to. And it ended with a message. "We remember what you did. We remember the declaration of war. We remember the planet killer aimed at our homeworld. We remember every life lost on both sides. We forgive, but we do not forget. Pray you never remind us." Those words became famous across the galaxy. They were carved into monuments. They were taught in schools. They were whispered in the dark by parents telling their children why the humans were not to. Be disturbed, Admiral. Park Do-yeon retired. He went home to Earth, to a small house by the ocean where his daughter and granddaughter lived. He put away his uniform. He planted a garden. He tried to forget the war, but some things could not be forgotten. One evening, his granddaughter found him sitting on the porch, watching the sun set over the water. Her name was Somi. She was 7 years old. She had her mother's eyes and her grandfather's stubborn chin. "Grandpa," she said, climbing onto his lap, "what was the war like?" Do-yeon was quiet for a long time. He had hoped she would never ask. He had hoped the next generation could grow up without knowing what war really meant. But she deserved the truth. "It was terrible," he said. "People died. Good people. On both sides. It was not exciting or fun. It was just ... sad. Why did they attack us? Because they were afraid. They looked at our planet and saw danger. They looked at us and saw monsters. They thought if they killed us first, they would be safe. But we're not monsters." "No, we're not." He stroked her hair gently. "But we can be very dangerous when someone threatens the people we love. That's what they learned." "Is that why nobody attacks us anymore?" Do-yeon nodded slowly. "They know now. They know that we don't want to fight. They know that we just want to live in peace. But they also know that if anyone ever threatens us again..." He paused. "We will do whatever it takes to protect our home." Somi thought about this for a while. Then she looked up at him with serious eyes. "I hope there's never another war." "So do I, little one." "So do I." Decades passed. The galaxy changed. Species that had been enemies became friends. Trade routes opened between worlds that had never spoken. The Terran Accord grew stronger. Every year, and humanity became a legend. Young aliens grew up hearing stories about the Death World creatures. About the war that had nearly destroyed the Conclave. About the species that had been offered mercy, had chosen to give mercy in return. When children asked their elders why no one ever threatened humanity, the answer was always the same, because they gave us a choice. They always give a choice. They don't want war. They don't want to fight. They just want to live in peace. But what if someone attacks them? The elders would look toward the stars, toward distant Earth, and their voices would grow quiet. Then they will teach you how they fight. And you will learn that the ones who want peace the most are the ones who know best what war truly costs. Far away, on a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary star, children played in parks and families ate dinner together and life went on. The humans had not asked to be feared. They had not asked to be respected. They had only asked to be left alone. And finally, After all those years of war and sacrifice, the galaxy had learned its lesson. Some doors should never be opened. Some enemies should never be made. And some species, no matter how soft they looked, should never be forced to show what they were really capable of. Humanity's last transmission had been a warning. The galaxy had chosen to ignore it. They would never make that mistake again.